gun shop on almost every corner in this community. Why?
Good morning, my friends. MikesMMAPicks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMAOddsbreaker. We are here for UFC Vegas 64. Pardon me, 64. Can you imagine there have been 64 fight cards inside of the UFC Apex? Incredible. First fight of the night. We have Ramona Pascal taking on Tamiris Vidal in what was supposed to be a bantamweight matchup. Pascal came in, missed weight. We had some inclinations that she was going to miss weight here. Taking on Vidal, who the jury is still out on Vidal here. Vidal coming in as a minus 125 betting favorite. I'm not sure how folks can go out of their way to back Vidal at the favorite price. Taking on Pascal, who, let's be honest, she's left a lot to be desired out there. Taking on Josiane Nunes, taking a loss there. Jocelyn Edwards taking a loss in that spot. Does not move her head well. Marches forward almost like a rhino out there trying to attack her prey. And once she gets a hold of her prey, she's going to try to drag it to the ground and obtain and maintain some top position. That's what the Pascal backers are hoping for here against Vidal, who, what does she do great? We're not so sure yet. The Perez fight, you watched that, and there's some sketchy moments there. On the come up, you got to wonder, only 24 years of age, still a lot of work to be done here. This is a show me spot for Vidal. I'll be picking Pascal. I think that Pascal at dog odds could be a potential play, but the better play was to get in on Pascal much earlier and then look for an ARB opportunity here. That ship has sailed. The line has moved. I'll be picking Pascal. And Vidal, still 24 years of age. This is the challenge between when you're working with low-level women's mixed martial arts. There are dramatic improvements from fight to fight. We've seen some fighters come in and make tremendous leaps and bounds as far as improvements inside of the octagon, and also from the regional tape to the bright lights, big city atmosphere. There are big improvements that can be made, and I'll be picking Pascal, though. Next up, where we have a flyweight matchup, what was supposed to be a flyweight matchup, Carlos Candelario taking on Jake Hadley. Jake Hadley coming in as a minus 270 favorite. Little shocking to see Hadley as such a massive favorite here. I know Candelario ran into some trouble on the scale, also ran into some trouble on the scale last time out against Tatsuro Taira. Wasn't looking great again here. Didn't make an additional attempt to cut Candelario. Plus 215 underdog. We know he can wrestle. And Hadley, the lack of urgency in his debut, UFC debut, is concerning. That goes up and down the board. Fighters who lack urgency when they're on their back, concerning as an MMA handicapper. You want to try to avoid those. And Hadley as almost 3-1. I know I was a fan of the Cage Warriors Hadley, where he fought Shanks. We backed him in that spot, and he's had trouble making weight, but made weight this time out. Maybe motivated here. I'll be picking Hadley, but Candelario, there are some question marks here. The guy has difficulty on the scales. He's very large for the division. And I think I see Hadley winning via submission in this spot. I know Candelario is a tough out, and Taira wasn't able to do it, but I think that Hadley, he's got, both of these guys have the same reach, and Hadley has the much better submission game. I'll be picking Hadley in this spot. Let's see what we got here. Good morning, Evan. Thanks for tuning in. Happy fight day. Happy fight day. Let's see. You got your McDonald's breakfast. Excellent. Excellent. It could be a potential dog-friendly card. Morning, JP. Pleasure. There, I suspect we'll see a few dogs come through. Now, let's chat a little bit about this Shalinian fight. Ludovic Shalinian coming in as a plus 200 underdog, taking on Johnny Munoz. Now, we were familiar with Shalinian from his stint on in the tough house. He's a fighter who's taken a loss to Ricky Tercios, so that's concerning right off the bat. The Jack Shore loss, he hung in there, wasn't able to get a lot done. Johnny Munoz, you talk about getting things done. He's a fighter who was brutally knocked out last time out, and now is coming in as a minus 250 betting favorite. I think that says a lot about Munoz here. A lot of people trust him and trust his grappling. Could potentially put Shalinian in some tough spots on the mat and look to lock up a submission here. Munoz fought Nate Maness. We'll talk about him in a few fights. And Maness is coming in, made that 125-pound flyweight class. Incredible self-discipline by Maness there. We'll talk about him in a little while. But in this spot, Munoz, in my eyes, has the better grappling here, more fluid fighter, and he's got to shake off that knockout loss to get back into the win column, which I think he's going to do. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him win inside the distance, but I was hoping for a much better price tag than minus 250. I don't necessarily feel comfortable playing him at anything over minus 200, but give me Munoz in that spot. Let's see. We've got another comment from Mr. Taylor here. He's feeling a few over rounds and distance plays. Okay. All right. Well, I've got news for you, JP. The bookmaker and the odds makers suggest that you are correct, because most of these fights are expected to go the distance. Next up, we've got Jinyu Fry taking on Pollyanna Vienna. Vienna, we talk about fighters who lack the sense of urgency, especially on bottom, and are comfortable playing off of their back. Pollyanna Vienna is one of those fighters. Looked great on the scale. I mean, she always does, right? Taking out Jinyu Fry, who 37 years of age, somebody who's been around the block, she fought a great game plan against Gloria De Paula a few years ago, and showed us that she can stick to a grappling heavy game plan. Now, is she going to be able to ground Vienna and hold her there and accrue top position, burn top time? That is the question for me. Frey coming in as an underdog here. I am concerned about the age factor here, and also she is carrying a lot of muscularity at this lower weight class, and Vienna has a submission game here. I think that Vienna is live to cause Frey some problems here and put her in a tough spot on the mat. I'll be picking Vienna to win, and to win via submission. The challenge here, though, is if Vienna gets stuck on her back and is losing significant amounts of time, that is a concern here. Next up, one of my favorite fights on the card, Mario Bautista taking on Benito Lopez. Benito Lopez has been out of action for over 3 years. It's been a long run outside of the octagon. Looks like he put on some adipose tissue. He's a little bit chunkier than we've seen him in the past. This is Benito Lopez we're talking about. Benito Lopez, Team Alpha Male fighter who, not sure what he's been up to over the past 3 years. Besides, you look at the Instagram account, you see that he's a realtor now. And last time out against Morales was dropped in his hometown and left a lot to be desired in that fight. And here he's taking on a Mario Bautista, who is a force to be reckoned with. Trevin Jones was able to clip him. We've seen Bautista, the chin could be an issue in some spots, though seems to be improving just about every time out. Filled out at the division, is somebody who has a submission game to speak of as well. We saw him lock up a submission against Brian Kelleher last time out. Bautista also rangy striker, someone who's going to go for the kill, has killer instinct. He's one of the fighters who, when he came onto the scene against Sandhagen, he passed the eye test, man. I'm a big fan of Bautista, the MMA lab, Casey Kenny, others in that training room who've really developed and typically have pretty smart high fight IQs. So give me Mario Bautista. And also I put out a free play of the Bautista Lopez fight, doesn't go the distance, at -105. I believe that's a solid position to get in. Give me Bautista, and I believe he's going to get this done inside the distance. I don't see Benito Lopez lasting all 3 rounds here. Inside of the smaller octagon too. That needs to be said. So give me Bautista inside the distance. And also props to folks who were able to get in on the Bautista line early before it exploded out. Shanna Young taking on Miranda Maverick. You talk about fighters who are massive favorites. Look at this. Maverick -740 taking on Shanna Young, who really gave it everything she got. She even chopped off some of her hair to make weight here. She's a tough lady. She proved a lot of Gina Mazzani truthers wrong last time out, getting a solid victory there. Maverick is a fighter who is she has a diversity in skill sets. She can grapple, she can strike. She's very strong for the weight class. And one thing that concerns me, though, is Maverick can sometimes be robotic in nature, and she's not the most fluid fighter. Shanna Young, she's a grizzled veteran who these 2 ladies have fought before, and we saw it was competitive at some points in the fight. And Maverick, granted, she's much older now, and I mean older, what? She's 25, but has much more experience under her belt. In this spot, I don't see this fight going the distance, and I think it's going to be a dogfight, man. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Young. I think that she's going to make this very interesting early. I'll be picking Maverick to win inside the distance, but there's no way I'm touching anything close to -700, -600, -500, anything like that with Maverick here. Especially, we've talked about this, women's mixed martial arts, low level women's mixed martial arts, there's tremendous volatility. Give me Maverick, though, inside the distance. Now, we have fighters who have a combined 86 professional fights under their belt competing next. Derek Minner taking on Shalini Beckoff. Beckoff coming in as a -215 betting favorite here, which is it's concerning here, because Minner is a fighter who will come out hot. And he's going to look back at his career, Derek Minner, and he may have some regrets here. I've watched back many of his fights, and he's in fights early and then makes bonehead decisions. The Ryan Hall fight, the Darren Elkins fight. There have been many, many others, concerning to say the least. So Nurenbeka here is somebody who is going to come out and grapple heavy. He doesn't stray too much from who he is. The Kulabau fight, he would not succumb to what he was attempting to accomplish. He would not be deterred. And I like seeing that. Fighters who fight to their strengths, but also it's nice to see fighters who do have a plan B. And Nurenbeka does not have a plan B. But in this spot, it comes down to, I just can't trust Derek Minner. I can't trust him. There are a few fighters on this card who I cannot trust. And man, it comes back to being able to back fighters you can trust. And if folks want to play the under, that's fine here. I just do not trust Derek Minner at all. I'll be picking Nurenbeka, and I'm not touching a -200 betting favorite in that spot. Next up, we have about a highly anticipated bout. This is a people's main event type bout. Up next, Grant Dawson taking on Mark Madsen. Mark Madsen, the Olympian, coming in at plus 180 at the betting window. Grant Dawson, I'm a little surprised the line hasn't shifted that much. Dawson missed weight. That is concerning. We know he apparently trained for 6 different opponents for this fight and got the call. Was given an extra week notice. Apparently, Madsen's camp and Dawson's camp were in collaboration, and they were talking about about Dawson not being able to make 155 if this was a week earlier. So they gave him an extra week, and he ended up now missing. He's a big guy, man. For his to even think about that, he fought at 145 pounds. That's pretty incredible. Now 28 years old. Both of these guys, heavy grapplers. Madsen, obviously Greco-Roman Olympian, somebody who is going to try to get a grip on his opponent and push them against the cage and grind out decisions. But also Madsen can throw hands here, and he has some solid movement, but I question this fight as long as if it gets deeper. We know Dawson, he's relentless. And one thing I love about Grant Dawson is he says this: he fights like he trains and he trains like he fights. And I like backing fighters who do that, but also the move to ATT against Jared Gordon looked solid out there. He added some kicks to his game, and he is the more diverse fighter here. What it comes down to is who's going to end up on their back and then who has a get-up game. Because Madsen, if he ends up on his back, I question I question his get-up game when he's on his back. He's used to being on top and landing takedowns. Dawson is relentless. And also, if Dawson gets stuck on his back, this could be an ugly fight to watch if he's unable to use sweeps and work his way back up to the feet. The weight miss is a major concern here. I was hoping that Dawson would make weight. I was in on Dawson here, but I believe that if there's an opportunity to hedge in some capacity, that's an option here. Madsen looked great on the scale, had a few choice words to say when these fighters squared off. I'll be picking Grant Dawson to win. I think that there is a possibility he wins this fight inside the distance, especially late. But I have concerns about the weight miss. I know Dawson was in camp with Gamrot and put in a lot of time preparing behind the scenes for a fight, but as we've seen, he wasn't able to make weight, and that's a major concern for a fighter. I know he's missed weight in the past at 145 pounds. Now he misses weight up a division. Concerning. So give me Grant Dawson to win, and it would not shock me to see Dawson win inside the distance. Next up, we have a fighter who looked like he put everything he had into making weight here. Nate Maness taking on Tagir Ulanbekov. Tagir Ulanbekov coming in as a minus 235 betting favorite. If you got in on Ulanbekov in the minus 170s, minus 180s, props to you. Nate Maness, we've seen this is a guy who's the incredible shrinking man. He, in my eyes, didn't have to cut down an extra 10 pounds. Why? I mean, is this sustainable? Is he going to do this every time out? Or is this a one-time deal? Maness can throw heat. He's a fighter who also will not give up on himself. That's something that needs to be said. Another thing I need to mention, the Umar Nurmagomedov loss. You talk about fighters who won't give in and won't prefer not to be submitted. Of course, nobody wants to be submitted, but the Sato fight, and also the Gunnar Nelson Sato fight, and the bout, the Nate Maness Umar Nurmagomedov fight are two fights where the opponent simply would not turn into a position where they would end up losing via submission. They did everything they could to protect themselves. And Tabir Beckoff is a fighter who is going to try to ground Maness. He may run into some problems here trying to close distance, though. I do have concerns in that regard, but I don't trust Maness's gas tank at this weight class. I think that's a major concern here. Olin Beckoff is going to be the pick, but he may run into some really sketchy moments at some points during this bout. I have serious concerns about Maness now being able to rehydrate and get that energy back at 125 pounds. Olin Beckoff. I also wonder, is Khabib Nurmagomedov going to be in Olin Beckoff's corner like he was last time out against Tim Elliott, where I believe Elliott should have lost that fight. There were a number of moments that went unnoticed by the referee, and that the Olin Beckoff backer should have walked away with a victory there. So give me Tagir Olin Beckoff in this spot. Next up, low-level heavyweight alert. Chase Sherman, Josh Parisian. Josh Parisian coming in as a plus 105 underdog. Chase Sherman. I will not back Chase Sherman as a favorite against just about anybody. We've seen against Collier and others. Major concerns. Now, Parisian, how good is he? Not very good. Not very good at all. Low level, mixed martial arts. We saw, I mean, it says I was willing to back Alan Boudreaux against Josh Parisian. So that says a lot. I do not trust Parisian here. But I will say this. I think that Sherman is going to make another catastrophic error like he's done in many bouts. And Parisian is going to capitalize on it. It's disturbing that both of these fighters are still in the UFC, to be honest. And this should be a sloppy heavyweight fight. Sherman took the Romanov bout to get back into the UFC, and I don't trust him here. I'll be picking Parisian. I think that he will be able to outlast Chase Sherman and end up somehow attaining and maintaining top position against Sherman, and that'll be the last of Sherman. Hopefully, we need to rid ourselves of these horrific heavyweights. Next up, welterweights. Daniel Rodriguez, Neil Magny. Neil Magny is a grinder, somebody who's going to come in and fight hard for your money, as long as he stays conscious. Max Griffin almost put him out. Magny coming in minus 125. Daniel Rodriguez minus 105. Rodriguez is a fighter who, against Li Jingliang, we saw they ended up switching matchups, and he was looked a little flabby on the scales. Both of these fighters getting up there in age, in their late 30s. Rodriguez is going to look to land those straight punches and hurt Magny while he's coming in. Magny flailing those arms out, 80-inch reach, still has one of the longest reaches at that weight class and in the UFC. It's incredible. Magny, though, I love his heart, his willingness to stay in the fights as long as he's conscious. The Rakhmonov fight, come on now. You know, that the Shavkat fight, I don't put too much stock into that. That was a fight where he was totally outmatched. This is much more of a competitive matchup here. And I think Rodriguez is going to end up gassing. I'll be picking Magny in this fight to get the win. I trust him much more than Daniel Rodriguez. Rodriguez, I have backed him in the past in a few other matchups, but not necessarily in this spot. JP saying Magny by decision. That is a likely outcome here. Take a look at that number. Main event of the evening. Amanda Lemos taking on Marina Rodriguez. Rodriguez coming in as a minus 225 betting favorite. By the way, go back if you want to watch some great fight footage. Watch her obliterate Tisha Torres. Love that fight. Amanda Lemos is somebody who is going to throw everything she can into her strikes, everything she does. The guillotine attempts, she overcommits, though. That's a problem. And her self-belief is through the roof. She's willing to empty the gas tank. We know that. 5 rounds here. This is a recipe for disaster if Lemos comes out here and gasses herself out early. We've seen Rodriguez be able to change gears throughout the fight. Yan Xiaonan, there have been others fights where Marina Rodriguez comes alive. She's also survived some really tough spots against Mackenzie Dern and others, Cynthia Calvillo, etc. Amanda Lemos is one of my favorite fighters. I got to watch her last time out in person when she took on Michelle Waterson, and we saw it was only a matter of time until Lemos took Waterson out. But Waterson was fighting well, and she actually, in that fight-ending sequence, was hunting for a single leg and basically was able to land it, but then got stuck in that guillotine. And we've seen the squeeze of Lemos, and I would not be surprised to see Lemos win this fight via submission. That's something that take a look at that number if you have the opportunity. I'd be I think conventional wisdom says that Marina Rodriguez is the rightful favorite here, but I'm concerned that she's been able to squeak out many fights, especially late, and she's been able to survive many tough positions. Lemos is live here. If you're plus 185-ish, plus 200-ish, the challenge here is Lemos comes out hot. She is dialed in and is live in the first couple of rounds, first 2.5 rounds. She wasn't able to get going against Jessica Andrade, and she may, Rodriguez isn't going to put the same kind of pressure and isn't going to be able to grapple like Jessica Andrade. They're totally different fighters. The thing here is Lemos, I have a feeling she's coming out dialed in, and it would not surprise me one bit to see Lemos win this fight. It really wouldn't. I'm not going out of my way to back Marina Rodriguez as a significant favorite, but I will pick her to win. The more viable outcomes are on the Marina Rodriguez side, but Amanda Lemos is very live here, very, very live in this spot, and I am not going to. I'm going to give that credence. So give me Marina Rodriguez. But this is a stay away fight for me from a betting perspective. Unless take a look at Lemos via submission. That is a viable outcome here. Want to wish everybody a tremendous fight morning. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for continuously checking in every fight morning. I believe this is the 127th show that we've done with MMA Oddsbreaker. Third-party track, have a number of plays up at MMA Oddsbreaker Premium, third-party track for many, many, many years. And we're having a solid year so far. We've got to continue this run and have a great day. Let's do this, my friends.